Hello, and welcome to Women in Business, where we interview entrepreneurs and senior managers and show you the strengths, successes, obstacles, and roadblocks women experience in business. Since I believe every person in business needs to be visible, I'd like to invite you to watch www.sob6, that's the number 6, tips.com, which will give you some valuable information should you get the call to be on radio or TV, which I think is extremely important. If you'd like to contact me personally, drop me a line at Gayle Carson, that's Gayle, Gayle Carson 13 at gmail.com, or go to my website, www.spunkyoldbroad.com, and sign up for my weekly newsletter. My guest today is Merrily Orsini. And Merrily is a very interesting woman because she has a wonderful, wonderful business that she's going to talk about with you. She is president and CEO of Corecubed, and she is considered a thought leader in the in-home care industry and is involved in numerous organizations providing insight and advice. She's a leader in the Help Choose Home initiative and podcast creator and host in which she focuses on educating how and when to choose healthcare at home. She won a Lifetime Achievement in Business Award at the 2017 Stevie Awards for Women in Business, and her business ownership began with a geriatric care managed in-home care agency, a venture that garnered her the prestigious Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award in 1996. She's the past chair of the Private Duty Home Care Association of America and has served on the boards of the National Association for Home Care and Hospice and the National Association of Geriatric Care Managers, now Aging Life Care Professionals. Welcome, Merrily.
Well, thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, you provide such a well-needed service, and gosh, it's only going to get more and more as we age more and more. And I would think that, oh, wow, with everything going on right now, I'm sure that you are just littered with questions and deciding what the best thing to do is. So let's talk about why you think healthcare at home might not be the first choice, since most consumers wish to age in place.
We have a very complicated system in America for for treating aging or even dealing with aging or dealing with issues other than in an acute setting, and that has historically been the case. So it is just easier for a physician or a discharge planner to keep someone in a facility or in a congregate area so that they can see all of their patients in one spot. So it's really just evolved over time. Oddly enough, with our current situation with COVID-19 and the issues that arise when you're in a congregate setting, healthcare at home is having a resurgence and everybody wants to be there now, and doctors and medical professionals are scrambling to understand it and to figure out how to keep patients at home. So oddly enough, if there is a silver lining, that is one of the silver linings that's happening.
Well, I was the healthcare surrogate for one of my very good friends, and they tried to place her twice in assisted living, and she was not having any of it. She was a World War II Marine, and she put her Marine training to, I am not staying here. And so we did get her in-home health care, and we did get her, and she needed 24/7. So we had 2 or 3 people who were rotating, but we had wonderful people, and I worked with a wonderful agency. So it was a very positive experience. But what kinds of services do you think need to be combined to achieve successful healthcare at home?
There are a whole array of community services that can be pulled in, because when someone does choose to age in place or recuperate at home, they're all of the things that they normally used to do are still needed. So they still need some socialization. They still need the house maintained. They still need to have food prepared. And so there's all of the kinds of things that you normally do in living as you age and become frail. A lot of those services are still needed. So it's again, it's really funny because it's really not needing care is not age related. Needing care is really specific to if you get a frailty or an injury. So it's not there, and there isn't a one size fits all. So there is no one answer that applies for anybody that needs home care. And as I say, we've really created a very complicated system, even within home care, because there's all different kinds of home care, and the American long-term care policy basically does not exist. I mean, we have not dealt with the fact that we have these huge numbers of old people, and that at some point, most people are going to need some kind of care.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm 82 years old, and I am very self-sufficient and very active. So, but I'm getting Meals on Wheels because I'm not going shopping. I'm immune compromised, and I am not going shopping. I do get my shopping through Instacart, and but I also am getting Meals on Wheels delivered. And I want to tell you something, Marilee. They are good. They are nutritious, and they are well balanced, and they are good. So I think that it's really, really important to understand that there are so many things that go into this, but how do most people afford something like this?
That's the one glitch in the system. Unless you have resources to pay privately, it's very difficult to have a long-term care solution. There is no reimbursement. The people who bought long-term care insurance might have some relief, and people with assets can certainly pay for it. But there really isn't any type of reimbursement for the I'd say the standard person, sort of the middle of the group. There are community and home-based services that are available. It gets very complicated state by state. So each state has different agreements with the federal government on the amounts of money that they pay for these home-based community services. And there's a very low economic threshold to be eligible for Medicaid. I believe it's $3,000 in total assets that someone can have in order to be eligible for these Medicaid services that are the state services that are funded in conjunction with the federal government. So you really need someone to navigate you through the system. You need someone to be an advocate for you. And you really need someone to work out the details, because whether or not you can stay at home depends on what your diagnosis is and your prognosis, depends on your ability to pay for care, depends on your support system, and actually also depends on your geography. So we have truly created a very complicated system. Not unmanageable, but complicated, where one does need a navigator to get through it and to
Well, I
understand.
think, Marilee, I got to tell you, I think everything we do today is very complicated. I don't know why we can't do things in a simple manner, go back to where we were, but it does. As soon as you get some kind of regulation, it becomes very complicated. So, how do you find a simple overview to make a decision when someone's care is needed? Because, you know, people don't think about it until it's too late. I mean, they don't think about what am I going to do when, or I know some children look at their elderly parents and say, we need to figure this thing out. If something happens, you're going to come live with us, or whatever it is. But a lot of people just don't think anything's going to ever happen. So what do you do? How do you make the decision making process more simple?
There is one group in America, and that is, and they've changed their name, so they've even made it complicated. Geriatric care managers are professionals who who understand the system and who understand all of the intricacies of it, and who work closely with the healthcare providers as well. And that is Aging Life Care Professionals. That is the name of the organization, and they are in all states. And you can go to their website, and you can put in your zip code and find an aging life care professional. And that is what I recommend 100% of the time for people, because it shortcuts. You're paying for the service. It's not free, but it is 100% of the time what I recommend, because you've got someone who understands the system, and it's aginglifecare.org. And I'm not even a member of that organization anymore. I used to be years ago, and I did geriatric care management, but it shortcuts the whole process. And you might pay $100 to $250 for an assessment, but what you get at the end of that is a very good idea of what the options, the best options are for you in your particular situation. And then if that doesn't work, you can, cobble things together. But having someone from the Aging Life Care Professional Association working with you will make that cobbling a whole lot easier.
Wow, wow. Well, the other thing that people deal with is dementia. And I guess dementia is considered a precursor to Alzheimer's, but yet there's all different stages of Alzheimer's as well. I mean, there are people that function well. I mean, they don't lash out, and they function all right with help. And yet there are others that, are not easily controlled. So what do you do if you find that a parent is going through dementia or Alzheimer's?
If someone has Alzheimer's, which is a kind of dementia, eventually they will need 24/7, 365 care. It is a progressive degenerative disease. And so eventually they will need total care. The problem with Alzheimer's and dementia is at that point in time, it really is 24-hour care. The first book I ever read on Alzheimer's when I started doing this in 1981 was a book called The 36-Hour Day, and appropriately named because that's what it feels like. I recommend, if someone is in that situation, that they understand the disease, because it's so completely different from anything else. And if it is possible to modify the environment where the person is, or to put the person in a specific facility, not home care, for Alzheimer's, that's really the best thing to do. You don't know if your loved one is going to be combative. You don't know, I mean, you really don't know if they're going to be docile or combative when if there is a dementia involved. So that's a really difficult care situation. And people who do try to do it at home, it's manageable sometimes, but you really do need to modify the environment so that the person can't get out, because they oftentimes want to leave where they are. They don't feel home is home. They'll, and they sometimes have terrible delusions and awful reactions to things, like even seeing themselves in a mirror. So it really is a insidious disease, and not one that one should care for unless you really understand what you're doing.
And there's all different phases of dementia and
Yes.
Alzheimer's. So I know that, I live in Miami, and there's a lot of Hispanic families. And one of the things that they are excellent at is they do, include everybody. I mean, grandparents live with parents who live with kids, and it goes on. And so many of the certain cultures, I think, find it very difficult to place their loved one in a facility, because they feel they should be able to take care of them. And have you seen objections from some children in placing their parents in a facility?
Yes, certainly. And that's why I say you can modify your home environment to accommodate someone who has a dementia. But you really have to learn about the disease and learn the modification. there's there's lots of simple things you can do, but really understanding, for instance, you can find keep put a tracker on the person so that if they do get out of the house, you can find them. It's all kinds of horror stories about people
Yes,
who
we have them a lot here.
I'm
You hear on
sure.
the news, yeah, they'll say so and so has been missing. She has dementia, and this is what she was last wearing, and yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
But there are, I mean, things like in a lockdown unit, in an Alzheimer's unit in a facility, what they do is they allow the people to wander at will. They allow them to have um, tasks to do. For instance, some people, it's funny, these repetitive tasks like folding laundry is something that oftentimes people like to do who have Alzheimer's. Having a baby doll or some kind of a loving replica of whatever. So if it's a woman who used to love to take care of children, then giving them some type of a baby doll or something might calm them and keep them happy. I mean, it really is. That's why I recommend a geriatric care manager, an aging life care professional, because it's a lot of these things are not intuitive, but they make life a lot easier.
Well, you say that technology has helped meet the demand for in-home care. So how has that worked? I mean, what has technology done for the industry?
Do you know the technology continues to improve? It's funny, during this COVID-19 crisis right now, people are using FaceTime and using face to face discussions so that they can keep in contact with people. And the older people are actually learning how to do it out of necessity, because if you can't have anyone come see you, then you need to be able to have some kind of human contact. So, technology right now you can almost have any kind of um, invasive procedure that you need in a hospital. You can almost have every single part of that at home, and some of the monitoring technology is so sophisticated that people who have diseases, for instance COPD or congestive heart failure, it really does stop going to the emergency room, because right now nobody wants to go to the emergency room. So if you have a system that checks your vital signs, and also in the CHF situation, usually that involves being weighed. So there's all kinds of technology right now, from very unsophisticated to very sophisticated, that allows a physician to be able to see what's going on, or a nurse with the person at home, and trying to avoid those emergency room visits or any type of dangerous visit. And that is really working better now because of COVID-19, and people are having to really try to keep out of those settings where they might become infected.
Yeah, I certainly I know that I have had more Zoom meetings and more uh I mean, even every conference, Merrily, that I was supposed to be at, every conference is now going, it's either canceled or virtual. So I have had, like 3 conferences in a row of 3 days each. So I've had like 9 days of conferences from like early morning to late at night. And it's just amazing what people are learning to do. You're absolutely right. And thank goodness for the connectivity, because many of the grandparents, they can't see their grandkids. They can't touch them, and that takes a lot out of somebody.
It,
So
can I tell you, we had a great, my 7-year-old grandson who I moved to Asheville so I could be close to my grandchildren. I'm within walking distance of 2 sons and 4 grandkids, but the younger ones aren't practicing safe social distancing because they just don't remember. And so they have not seen either their other set of grandparents who lives here or us. So the 7-year-old, we had a birthday party last night, and we did a Zoom birthday party for everybody that isn't in the location. And we did social distancing here with both sets of grandparents. But we even ate. I put out tables in different places, so we had groups of, the pods came in. So this, if you and had got food, and then I would disinfect everything in between, and then we all ate dinner at different places, and then the group was here on the Zoom conference call attending the party too. So it was weird, but it was fun.
Well, and that's the whole point. I think my sister has done that with her kids and her grandkids and her great grandkids because it's just it's what you have to learn to do. And I agree with you, Merrily. I think some people, and they don't have to be kids. There are many adults who are not playing by the rules. And I am immune compromised. I'm on chemo, and I'm not going anywhere. I mean, I did go to the hospital the other day for my checkup, but I was like the last patient there. Everybody kind of closed up at 1, and my appointment was at 2:40. So I was, I walked in, and nobody's at the front desk, and nobody's in the administration offices, and luckily I knew where to go and what to do. But I'm not going anywhere. I'm not getting on a plane. I'm not going to meetings until I know that everybody is playing by the rules, and they're just not. And I am just really concerned, and I'll use that word concerned, about the ones that are opening up early, states that are opening up early, because people are going to go wild. Here in Miami, when they opened up the marinas, which was yesterday because it was May 1st, they opened up some of the marinas, not all the marinas, because each mayor is handling it differently. There must have been 100 boats lined up on the highway to the marina because they all were trying to launch their boat because they hadn't been out in it in so long. So we have about 5 minutes left. I want you to tell people how to contact you if you'd be interested in having people do that. Maybe if you have information you'd like to share with them, or I don't know if you have a gift or anything, but any way you would like for people to know how to get a hold of you, I would love for you to share with them.
Well, I think the most important thing for an audience to know is that I do this podcast series called Help Choose Home. It's available on Apple Podcast and Google Play and Spotify. And it is really, if they're interested in understanding more about healthcare at home, it is an excellent way to get that information. And there really isn't any kind of information like that. I even have Ellie Hollander as an interviewee, who is the president of the National Meals on Wheels program, explaining what they are and how to get those. So it really is we've had 2 seasons so far. We've just started our 3rd. That is what I would want them to do first. To contact me, Corecubed, Corecubed is my business, and that is the best way. Corecubed.com is the best way to find me, and you can contact me directly through Corecubed.
Oh, that's fabulous. That's wonderful because, you know, I think there is a lot of confusion, and there's going to be a lot of confusion in the next 12 to 18 months because this is not going away. I mean, it's going to come back, and we have to know what to do to protect ourselves and protect our loved ones. And it's going to be people like you and organizations like you're involved with that will help smooth the trail for all of this because it's just not an easy path to take. And so I want to encourage all of you who are listening to this, if you want to find out more about Merrily, and it's Merrily, Merrily, Orsini, Orsini, and I want you to be able to go to Corecubed, Corecubed.com to find out information that she can share with you and help you with, and listen to her podcast. It is it's a way for you to keep up with what's going on. And there are so many people, Merrily, who are in this sandwich generation. You know, they're taking care of their kids and they're taking care of their parents. And it's just something that I don't think they faced when they've got all these different things. And I feel so badly for the parents that are having to homeschool their kids and try to keep a job going and taking care of parents, it's enough to drive anybody crazy.
I cannot imagine, Gayle.
And I have great grandchildren, but they're not near me. So that's a whole other thing. But it's interesting. My daughter lives with her daughter, my granddaughter, so she's helping them. And it's just a very interesting time in terms of how we all are reacting and how we're living. And I certainly understand the position that you play. So the fact that you've got a lifetime achievement award in so many things, and you've been involved in so many things, and that's quite prestigious to be an entrepreneur of the year from Ernst & Young. That's really fantastic. So I just want to thank you so much for being with us today. I want to thank you for the information. It was certainly apropos, the right time. And people, remember what she said. She said that you need an aging life care, and they're called aging life care individual or practitioner?
Aging life care professionals, and it's aginglifecare.org if anyone needs to find one.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being with us, Merrily. We enjoyed having you, and thanks for all that you're doing for all of us.
You have a wonderful day too, Gayle.
Hi, this is Dr. Gayle, and I wanted you to know I have a whole bunch of other things to offer you. If you go to spunkyoldbroad.com, you will see an array of SOB stuff for sale and all our latest products and additions. If you're interested in getting on TV, I have a brand new course, Get on TV. And if you want to start your own business, you'll want my SOB Guide to Business Success. I know you'll love them all. I guarantee it.
Thanks for listening to Women in Business. I hope you enjoyed today's show. And if you have any suggestions as to who you'd like me to have as a guest, just email me at gaylecarson13@gmail.com. Be sure to check out www.sob6tips.com. And in the meantime, go to www.spunkyoldbroad.com to see the resources I have for you.